now live.
All right, welcome to the Design Review Board meeting on February 16th, 2021. I'd like to call to order the meeting at 7:02 p.m. We have a quorum of 5 members currently on. We're waiting on a 6th coming, but we do have a quorum with 5. I have a couple action items that we need to do for tonight before we get started. So I'm looking for an approval of tonight's agenda.
Did you join with computer audio?
Yes.
You had this
Could I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda, please?
So moved.
All right, we have a motion by Mike. Do I have a second?
A second.
A second from Scott. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to approving the Design Review Board meeting minutes from January 19th, full Design Review Board. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
I have a motion to approve from Karen. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second from Mike. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. And then we also have discussed the last review meeting on January 19th. We talked about sending out a letter to RA or to the Planning Commission in regards to the ZMOD. And we sent a letter in support of RA's stance on the ZMOD amendment that they're doing at the county. Karen voted for it to be passed and seconded by Michael Bianchino, and then we all approved it unanimously by email, so we just want to put that in the record. I am looking for now any member comments that are in regards to any application that is not on the agenda tonight. Any member comments that is not on the agenda. I don't think we have any, so we can move into our first application, which is 11903 Triple Crown Road. I believe this is an appeal. Let's see. Is this no, this isn't an appeal. We already had the appeal last time. This is now providing us more information about the project. Is that correct, Steph?
This is an appeal.
Oh, this is an appeal. This is an appeal of the 1117. This application was deferred in order to allow the applicant the opportunity to provide a new site plan. But I thought we already approved the appeal.
This is an appeal of the approval.
Correct. When you accepted the last appeal on this application, the application is to be reviewed de novo, and the affected party on that application is now appealing again. Okay,
so from an appeal standpoint, we need the appellant to present what their appeal is. So I believe that is the plats in this regard. So if the plats are available, if they could present their appeal, you need to establish either that there's new information available or that a design guideline was misapplied.
So, can you hear me?
No.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Good evening. Hello, Mr. Wood. Hello,
Good evening.
members. Thank you for listening. If you would please bring up, whoever's managing the screen, the information that we filed, the picture that we filed in February. There you go. And you will see that in August, to bring you back to where we were, in August, on August 18th, the DRB heard our appeal of the panel decision regarding the location of deck stairs. It's the 5th time the DRB, 4 times in the 80s when this house and our house adjacent were built. The deck stairs issue and location was settled by the DRB, and it was supposed to be exactly where I'm showing it now. And each time the issue came back again in May, when the panel first considered an application by the current owners who had moved in the year before to put the stairs on the other side. The panel took it under advisement and approved it, and we said that was wrong. On August 18th, the full DRB with you in charge, Mr. Wood, said in a resolution after discussion that the deed governed, and this was a settled issue. There were no changed circumstances. And so the McGurks should go back and redesign it to have the stairs where I'm indicating it now. Instead of doing that, and the actual motion said, make a motion to ask the applicant to restudy and resubmit the updated date design with a stair location on the west side of the property per the deed. In October, the McGurks submitted another application, but they stood with a false statement that it was impossible to put the stairs 4 feet wide in a location where the DRB had mandated it now 5 times, including the August 18th decision. We then got a submission from Mr. McClarity on behalf of the McGurks. This is his photograph showing supposedly the impossibility of locating the deck stairs there. We took that photograph and we added the 4-foot notation per the plat that shows the footprint of the house with 4 feet wide. There is no physical impossibility to satisfying the requirement of the settled issue of the location of the deck stairs on the west side of the deck adjacent to the deck. The deck is now 14 feet 6 inches long, and if there's another photograph also submitted by Mr. McClarity that shows after the deck, the stone channel actually moves away from the area. It moves further away from the area of the deck. So I don't think there's any question, but there's no that's the other side. This is different photos. Please go back, if you would, to the photo we were showing, because that says the whole story. You don't need more than that. What we showed was, since the stairs are 4 feet wide, all the stair versions, and you remember the McGurks came up with this ridiculous proposal for a perpendicular stair that would have intruded on everybody's land. Here, this goes right alongside the deck where it was supposed to go. There's no physical impossibility. There's nothing impeding its location there. Indeed, it's already scrimmed and screened when it gets down to the front of the deck by the shrubbery that's there, and nobody will see it. So we're basically saying the DRB exceeded its legal authority to make a discretionary action after we show now that this in fact is not only not impossible, it's eminently possible. They just have decided they didn't want to abide by the requirements of the rest in deed, which you all in August said has to govern. So they flouted your requirement, and now it's time to vacate the decision in November, honor the rest in deed, and basically say it's time for the deck stairs on the east side, which are heavily intrusive on us, never supposed to be there, were never approved to be there, should be removed, and any application for deck stairs by the McGurks should be at the approved location on the west side. This is consistent with the idea that once you settle something under the rest in deed, absent significant change in circumstance, which none exists here, you end up in a situation where you have something that's binding. And under the 2006 amendments, that's the way it's supposed to work. And so I would say basically the action that was taken in November needs to be vacated. The McGurks need to be ordered to remove the stairs on the east side and to make an application, if they so desire, on the west side. This is consistent with the advice that was given by Anthony Champ and Bruce Ramo at the August meeting. It's also consistent with multiple discussions we've had with them and others about this issue. This is the time to say, these are the facts. It's time to move on. Honor the rest in deed. If the rest in deed is not honored in this instance after 5 decisions over multiple decades, then nobody's property rights are safe. It's a matter of respecting our privacy and our property rights, and we're entitled to it. It shouldn't have taken this long, but we thank the Reston staff and the DRB for your consideration. I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have. And remember, again, this photograph was not supplied by us. It was supplied by a lawyer on behalf of the McGurks.
Okay, thank you, sir. So to be clear, the new information, are you claiming that there's new information that the steps could be constructed on the west side of the property? Is that basically what your new information is?
Mr. Wood, at this junction, absolutely, because the McGurks based their whole argument that it was impossible to do it at that location on the fact that it was physically impossible to locate the stairs there. And that literally is false.
Okay. And this is, and just a question, this is your opinion, or is this, have you had an actual contractor or architect look at this?
We've had
determine whether
multiple
this is
people
possible?
look at it, and you can look at it with your own eyes. That space is 4 feet wide. It's clearly not in the channel. There may be one or more pipes there, but they are outside the 4-foot dimension of every stairs that's been proposed. You can see it with your own eyes. The facts are right there. And the rest indeed is supposed to be respected unless there's a physical impossibility or massive change of circumstance, neither of which exists here.
Okay. All right. So does anybody on the board, Mike B, do you have any questions or feelings about the appeal?
I mean, I don't have any additional questions. I understand the appellant's point. I understand what they're bringing to the table. And again, I think as Mr. Chairman, the chairperson just brought up, it's a question of whether there was a design guideline misapplied or if there's new relevant information, right? I think we were aware of the dimensions in play. So I don't really have anything else I'd like to add at this time.
And sir,
Dan, did you have anything to ask? Dan, are you on? Yeah, I see you there.
I'm on. No questions.
Okay. Karen, did you have any questions?
No, time to move on.
Scott, did you have any questions?
No.
And then did Bruce join us?
I'm sorry, no, he has not joined us.
Okay. So as an appeal, I don't see, I understand that it is probably, I think the way we reviewed this is that we reviewed it as a new application, and the argument is that a DRB application, we reviewed this as a new application, not as an amendment to an application that was approved 30 years ago. And I think that's how we looked at it when we did approve the deck as a design being aesthetically complementing the house. From the stair point of view, I mean, technically, yeah, you could probably locate the stairs to the left. Whether, I don't know what's happening below grade. Footers are obviously bigger than columns. The footer goes much deeper. There could be stuff in the way that I'm not aware of. We don't have a utility survey or a subsurface survey, so it makes it a little tough. I don't know. Does anyone have a motion on the appeal?
I guess I would make a motion not in favor of the appeal. So I guess to reject the appeal. I don't know what the nomenclature would be for that.
To decline.
To decline the appeal. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yes.
Do I need to state grounds? I don't believe that there is a reason to hear the appeal further.
it's there was a misstatement of facts, sir, and that.
I'm sorry, but there's a motion on the table. This is the time for the DRB only. So if we could, I think Mike has a motion on the table.
I don't know if there's really even need for a motion in a second, but I'll second Mike's motion.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second for denial. So any further discussion? The only thing I would say is I'm trying to go back through the application once we reviewed it de novo to see if there was any key, thing that said, we cannot locate the stairs on this side of the property due to the drainage, which they do say. So what's tricky is I don't know. Reconfigure both the drainage swale on the deck stairs. Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be. So I mean, I see it as new information that the stairs could be built there. I was always under the impression that they couldn't be, but is it really going to detrimentally turn the decision on the actual overall project design? Probably not. But that's just all I have to add to it. So does anyone else have any additional thoughts on it? All right, so let's take a vote. I will go down the roll call of what I have and take a vote. So all those in favor. So Mike, are you in favor of the denial?
I am in favor of the denial.
Okay. Dan, are you in favor?
I'm in favor of the denial. Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Scott? Scott, are you there?
He's giving a thumbs up.
Yeah, yes, I was muted. Sorry.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. And I would actually vote no, just because I like I said, I don't think it'll make a big difference, but I do think there was kind of new information, but I'll vote no against the appeal, the denial of the appeal, but the motion still passes 4-1. All right. So since the appeal has been denied, we will move on to the next application. Application H is for 11817 Triple Crown Road. And this is for, I'm trying to find the name here, the John and Kimberly Berry. Are they on?
Yes, they're on. We're having them unmute.
Yeah, you just need to, I think they're still muted right now.
We're trying to unmute them.
There we go. Great.
Hello.
Hi, Kimberly and John.
Hi.
All right, so tell us a little bit about your project.
Richard is our architect, and oh, here he is. He was going to explain. He knows more about this than I do.
Okay, great. All right, Richard, nice to see you again. Please walk us through what is happening.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Richard.
Okay, there you go. Okay, we're good to see you all again. We have a house here that was built in 1970. The Berries purchased it in 2004. Basically, nothing has happened to this house in 50 years, I guess it is, if you look at it that way. So we have the kind of two phases that I'm going to talk to you about. The first phase is trying to bring this house, you can kind of see it there, it's a heavily treed lot, and the top picture you see is looking back at the house from the street. There's a U-shaped driveway that goes in, and it has sort of lovely yellow siding on part of it and kind of a reddish brick on the rest of it. So the first challenge here was to update the house and kind of bring it into the new millennium with a whole different color palette, certain materials, but with no sort of visible shapes changing on the outside. Given that, well, and then the second part of it, phase, or same part of it, but is there some new work being done that we'll go into? We have all the materials listed and so on. There's a list of about 50 things that'll run down the side over there. But basically, let's look at the new palette first to change this and update the whole visual evidence, the general aesthetics of the outside. We're changing all of the siding the sort of angular element, if you go back to some of the drawings, I guess, the basic drawings of the house, like right there, whoa, right there, number 33. Okay, that's the house right now, although that shows some of the changes we're making, but you kind of get the idea. The element on the right-hand side, we're taking off all of the siding and re-siding it. We're taking off all of the roof and re-roofing it with a standing seam metal roof. The chimney that matches the brick on the house, we're going to skin that with 1/2 inch thick, what you call lick and stick brick, to change the color as an accent. It's sort of a yellowish brick. We'll get into those samples in a bit. The brick itself, we're going to paint all the brick so it's becomes sort of a two-toned house with basically a black color, dark black or charcoal, whichever you want to call it, between the siding and the brick color. All of the windows are being replaced, most likely with Pella. All of the windows will have black frames. They'll match the windows that are there. If there's casements, there'll be casements when we do this. We're replacing all of the doors. Well, on the back, when you get to the back, we're adding, can you guys see my cursor there? My little
No.
arrow bouncing around? Okay, whatever. All the gutters are being changed with half-round gutters. All the existing downspouts are being replaced with round gutters, round downspouts. All of those will also be black. No additional downspouts. That's the same guttering system that's there now. On the back, in the plan, if you look at the rear elevation, there's a three-section sliding glass door there. That's the back of the dining room. This is one of the new elements we're adding. The dining room has no windows looking out to the back. So we're trying to correct that by adding that sliding glass door. So when you're in the dining room, you can actually see this gorgeous backyard. The other elements, let's see, the chimney brick, the gutters, downspouts, light fixtures, we're replacing the existing light fixtures. There's a picture of the light fixture. It's a sort of dome-shaped, rather small light fixture, kind of a can, it's not a can light, but it's in color butterscotch, which complements all the other things we got a whole lot of samples we're showing. I didn't want to leave anything out. Oh, there's the light fixture. See the little light fixture, the little bronze looking thing there? That's the light fixtures we're putting outside. The ones by the front door will be that, and we'll have those light fixtures on either side of the new sliding glass door in the back. And in the screen porch, which is the other part of what we're doing here, we're enclosing the screen porch. Okay, right now, the screen porch, and we'll get to the color renderings, it shows it a whole lot better, but on the rear elevation, well, I'll go back to the front. The front, we're replacing the front door. We've got samples of that. We'll show you when we get to that. We're replacing the garage door. We've got samples of that. We'll show you that when we come back to that. Okay, on the rear elevation, a couple of things we're doing. Like I said, we're adding that sliding glass door into the dining room. Pardon me. And there's an existing deck off the master bedroom. It's kind of unusable in the bug atmosphere we all live with around here. We're putting a roof over that so it doesn't cover any additional space or change any patterns of getting water out of here. And it's making it a small screen porch off the master bedroom. There's a 3-part casement window there. Those are new windows in an existing opening that has, I'll call them double hungs windows now. On the right-hand side, okay, yeah, move that over a little bit. Okay, on the right-hand side, keep going over to the right if you can. There you go. That's the existing screen porch. We're doing a couple of things there. The screen porch now, from the level of the existing house, screen porch floor of the screen porch is down, I'll say 24 inches. It's somewhere in that range. We're raising that entire floor so that it matches the floor elevation of the entire house. We're then putting in a 6-panel folding, it's a bifold kind of door that can fold all the way over to, as you're looking at it, to the left-hand side and be hidden from view so the thing can be completely wide open. Again, with the bugs, they have these doors. That's either a Pella or we had 2 manufacturers there. We're looking there. And the other, Pella or Panda. Panda was the other manufacturer we're looking at there. Again, all these are black frames, but that bifold or accordion-like door can go, like I said, all the way over to the left. They have rolling screens, like a roll of screen that can kind of come across. So if you want to screen it, you can screen it with the rolling screen. And again, that's black screen, all very tasteful, okay? The elevation change then, I guess if you go back to one of the floor plans, that's kind of the whole outside of the house. We can go through all those materials. We got all the samples there. If we can get to one of the, in there a sheet with the whole floor plan on it? Yeah, there's another one I sent you later that had the pool equipment. There you go. That's the one. Okay. The screen porch is the room in the upper left-hand area there that there were steps down into that. That drawing shows you the bifold doors getting pushed all the way over, in this case to the right-hand side. We're coming out from there in the new 3-panel sliding glass door in the dining room. So they're all now going to come out and look out on a deck. The deck is, we'll get to that material. It's Zuri is the name of the manufacturer. For once, we're not using Trex, and we'll get to the colors on that. And the surround, the pool surround, is travertine tile. That I'll show you those colors later. They all kind of go together. So it's going to be, I think, a rather attractive element. Since we've now been able to put a doorway in the dining room, we're extending the deck of the Zuri flooring across the face there, so the dining room can walk out. The screen porch, we've never decided what to call that room. It's kind of a family room, a study, whatever. It's going to be a wonderful room to have. All of those walk out. And then the way the elevations work here, there's a high part to the yard where we're putting the pool, and it's roughly 30 inches higher than the grading just to the other side, to the downhill side. So we're having steps going down to a lower patio. That's, yeah, and that it's just a lower area that we're having there. We're putting the existing air conditioning units down there. All of the railings around the pool, you have to have railings around. Oh, back up. On the left-hand side, there's an existing brick wall that comes all the way out. It's about 5 feet tall right there. That's the one. We're putting a gate into it so that they can bring in supplies, whatever, into the pool. There's a little rectangle there, right where you're got your little, right there, where the pool equipment will be located. Is completely low down enough that is hidden completely by the brick wall that's there. There are plants along the rear of the house now, along where the screen porch is. We're going to relocate all of those plants to the other side of the pool, the downhill side of the pool. Along the right-hand side of the pool, you have a walkway all the way around, but on the right-hand side, we're putting in a glass railing that we have details. I'll show you that dark line right there is glass railing, and then steps down to the backyard. There's a requirement for fencing around pools, and this is kind of interesting that a lot of people, I guess, don't know this. In fact, I didn't know this until we got into this. You have to have a 4-foot high fence, which our railing is 4 feet high. The brick wall on the other side, even though we've raised the grade, is still more than 4 feet high along that whole side. So 2 things I wanted to discuss here about the pool. Pool is basically what you call a lap pool. It's 9 feet by 23 feet. It's not a large pool. You can get this pool with a built-in powered cover. The building code allows you not to have fence all around the pool if you have a powered cover, which is something I'm now aware of. So I wanted to say the powered cover adds a lot of expense to the pool. If we go with the powered cover, it will make the pool about 24 inches longer than what we're showing. We haven't bid the project yet, so we're waiting to see how that comes in. If it adds too much expense, we might just go with the pool without the powered cover. If we do that, we'll have to extend this glass railing that we're showing on the right-hand side of the pool around the back of the pool, just above the planting bed. But that's kind of, I just want to get both of those things out there. If we add the cover, we don't have to add the railing, but it makes the pool a little bit longer. We'll just have to see how the bids come out and how that affects that. Okay, so I guess if you want to go to the two color renderings, we do the rear or the front. Okay, that's the color rendering of the rear with the new color scheme. The Hardy siding, or we had two of the, or the Allura, is it Allura siding? We have two different manufacturers we're looking at for the siding. Basically, it's dark, either charcoal gray or black. The brick color is going to be basically charcoal gray or black. They'll contrast each other. There you can see the deck, the Zuri decking that comes out from the back of the house. And it also, the steps down will be the Zuri whatever. We're showing they're going to have a little kitchenette thing, an outside kitchen barbecue thing, but that's furniture. That we just showed it that there'll be something there. The bushes along the rear of the house now will be moved to the back, as you can kind of see in the corner there, where we're moving those bushes out. And the travertine tile goes all around the deck. The gutters, downspouts, everything's all shown there. You can see the peeking over the top of the roof is kind of to give you an idea of the yellow accent that we're adding these thin set bricks to the existing chimney that's there. It doesn't change that at all. It adds about a ½ an inch all the way around to the chimney. The screen porch, we're adding that roof over above the existing deck off the master bedroom there on the left. And then you get the lower patio, I'll call it, but the way the grading is, this is all on a higher level already, and we're raising the level up so it will match the level of the inside of the house. The rest of the yard stays exactly the way it is. Okay, you want to go to take a look at the front? I think it must be the one just above that. There, okay. The front, same thing, what I've been saying. We've got, there's some plantings out front. The guy that did these renderings was just trying to show you there were planting out there. Those aren't suggesting new planting. There's just existing planting on the front. All we're really doing, and of course the driveway and the sidewalk, that's architectural or, artist license there to jazz up a drawing, but there's no, the U-shaped driveway comes in and cuts right across the front of the house. So kind of ignore that sidewalk and those three bushes. That's all existing. On the front, aside from the coloring, the gutter change, all the windows are changing. We're adding the new garage door, which we can go back and look at all the samples that we've provided, and the matching color on the front door. There are lights on either side of the front door. They didn't get into this rendering, but we've showed you what the light is. It's that little butterscotch colored light. The skylights on the roof, are replacing those skylights, and again, they'll be the same opening, same size, but they'll have a black frame. They'll be flat as shown. Anyway, so we can start going through all the materials if you'd like. There's some incredibly gorgeous, and we've worked long hours together, the Barrys and myself, to pick all these things. Like if you want to look at, like click on the one that's just below there, that shows the brick. There you go. That's kind of the lick and stick brick. The color is pretty close to that. It's kind of a yellowish thing, but again, it's just going to be an accent. Though the other thing I didn't mention is the soffits all around the house. We're replacing with I believe it's another Zuri material that's roughly the same color as that brick. So you get another little accent running all the way around the outside of the house. And there, you got so many samples, it's hard to say where to go. And we go down, just go down, let's see what else we got in there. We got all kinds of stuff in there. Yeah, click on that.
Richard,
yes.
Richard, one question. Where is that brick going? The more butterscotch brick? Because the renderings show all dark brick.
No, it's the butterscotch. The butterscotch is the light fixture, Mike.
What's that brick there that I'm looking at on the screen right now?
That's only going on the existing chimney to change the color of the chimney from a red brick to a yellow brick.
Okay,
that's all. That's it. All the rest of the all the existing brick is getting painted. It's getting painted. If you look on number 35 there, you can see the colors of the Benjamin Moore paint. It's likely to be the darkest one of those.
Gotcha.
Okay, that's all right. I'm here for you. Whatever you need to hear. Go back to number 37 again. That's obviously not this house, but that shows the kind of roof we're going to putting on the house. It's a standing seam black metal roof. The railing we're putting around the pool is where it says railing samples, strangely enough. It's a glass railing with some sort of chrome verticals on it and a wood rail at the top. And it will be only on that one side. Like I said, if we go with the powered cover, then below that, you've got the garage doors, sort of I'll say a teak color. It's kind of a reddish color. I'm not exactly sure what the wood is, but that wood and the glass slots in it will match the front door. The front door is just off to the right. Well, there's one right next to it with the handle and everything else. The side light that just replaces the door and side lights that's there. Well, let's go down a little bit there. Well, there's more on the door. You got that. Oh, and there's the travertine. That's the two colors of the travertine. Okay, yeah, that's good. We're most likely going to use the more yellowish one, travertine number 1. And on your right-hand side is this new material we've discovered. Pardon me. It's like Trex. It's a man-made material, and we're going to make the deck out of that. It has the same life expectancy as Trex, which is what, 100 years or whatever, however long Trex is supposed to last. And we're using the chestnut color. If you see the note there, it's sort of a light blondish looking wood that will go very well. If you look at the travertine tile, it's going to be all around the pool, and you get the chestnut Zuri wood as the deck. I think it'll complement itself very well. You come down a little bit, you can see the pool. The pool is basically, it's all fabricated. It's a fiberglass pool. They just dropped this thing in. It's got the silver gray is the color we're going with, and if you look, there's sort of a little square underneath the pool there that's actually, that right there, that's actually the color. But when you put it all together, it comes across as more of a solid color, but it's actually almost a stippled finish, which is kind of neat. And the picture next to it, well, actually the picture right there in the silver gray example sort of has a travertine that's kind of like the color we're proposing using. It's very, very similar to that. And that with the Zuri deck, I'll call it, will kind of pull all this together with the glass railing and the, let's go down a little bit further, see what else we got. Oh, you're down at the bottom already. Okay. If you want to click number 50, just so you can see way down at the bottom there. That gives you an idea. That's what we got now. And you can see the screen porch is on the right. It's all screen now. That's what we're raising the floor of that up to match the rest of the house. The double hung windows, the triple double hung window there, we're replacing that with the casements. So all the windows in the whole house are very similar. Will all be black frame. And then the blank wall there is the dining room. And that's where we're going to put this triple sliding glass door in there. I mean, we can go through all these. We got pictures of the gutters and everything else. If you want to see it, that's the front of the house. Those are some shop drawings.
Richard, I think that's a good enough start. I think we have an affected party on this, so I want to hear from them first, and then we can go through any questions the board might have for you. But I think this is, I mean, it's a very thorough application, so I think you have most of everything. I know there's a couple questions I have about like a grading plan and some things like that, but I think the affected party has a couple questions about that as well. Okay. So I believe the affected party is Mr. Platt. Mr. Platt, just as a reminder, you have 3 minutes as an affected party to make your case. And I know I've reviewed your letter and I agree with some of your concerns. But I want to hear kind of, hopefully I think they also addressed some of your concerns as well in the presentation. So, but I would like to start your 3 minutes starting now.
Okay, thank you. I would ask for more than 3 minutes because this is a massive change to a house that is adjacent and abutting our house. And we have a number of concerns. We also have some nice things to say about what Mr. Newland and the Berries have done. So I would ask your permission to talk a little longer than 3 minutes. I promise I will be brief and to the point. So if that's okay with you, I'd like to be allowed to make the points that I'd like to make and then answer any questions you may have. Is that okay?
Yeah, I'll authorize, what about 6 minutes? Does that work for you?
Yes, that's fine.
All right, go.
Okay, first of all, to the Berries, I think we appreciate that you're upgrading your house, and some of the design elements that Mr. Newland has put in are really very attractive. And we have only 3 sets of concerns, which is what we wrote about in December and then sent in an affected party notice on. We're concerned about privacy, noise, and drainage. And those are the 3 big impacts for us. And the drainage one, we actually found the former owners, Susie and Jim Jones. Susie Jones was actually the RA president for a number of years, and they lived in the house for 8 years in the 80s. And they confirmed what we have long said, which is that the drainage was dramatically impacted by owners subsequent to you folks, the Berries, who preceding you rather, who altered the drainage. And we are aware that we're now being adversely impacted seriously by the drainage concerns. The Falcon Group submitted a report to that effect, and it indicates there are significant drainage issues. There's nothing in Richard in your plans that deals with the current drainage problems or even what you're proposing to do, even with the pool or the downspout situation, and that has to be addressed. Regarding privacy, we think that the pool part of the application looks to us to be very nice. We are concerned about the size of the overall application with the patio part. And we wonder if you couldn't reconsider and put the patio adjacent right behind or in some way integrated with the pool part so you don't so heavily, like 50 by 30, cover the area of your backyard. We would ask you to consider that. We know you spent a lot of time on this, but for drainage alone, that would be a massive improvement in the situation, particularly as there's no privacy consideration for us by glass panels on the side. We would ask you to think about some kind of opaque or other shielding, because I'm looking at, just for the record, I'm looking at what the rest in deed says. You're supposed to take into account when you do something, an improvement or addition, the impact of noise, exterior lighting, drainage, privacy, and other factors. The patios and walkways says you're supposed to mitigate the impact of presence or use on neighboring properties. Same thing on swimming pools. We do appreciate very much that you're putting the equipment on the other side of the stone wall, and that will be tremendously helpful to us, and we do appreciate that as well. And we also appreciate that you want to mitigate the impact of the presence of the deck on us and have something beautiful in your backyard. We don't have any issues with that, but we would ask you to reconsider having a patio adjacent, a large patio adjacent to a very large pool area, neither of which are there now. And when this house was planned, actually the screened-in porch was supposed to be the outside area. So we're asking you to consider that, and in fact to come up with plans, because there are none that we have seen on drainage, on privacy, or on noise, other than the use of the pool. I'm not talking about the equipment. It seems as the equipment issue has been dealt with. And I'm not asking you to respond tonight. I am asking the DRB to basically put in abeyance until these issues are addressed. The drainage, the privacy, and the noise issues, resolution or approval of those issues, particularly as to the patio, because we think there will be a significant ongoing adverse impact on us if the patio is allowed as planned, and if there is no screening and there are glass walls there and the drainage situation is not dealt with properly, we think will be dramatically adversely impacted. We think what you're doing with the balcony is fine, and we think that the overall architectural change is really quite neat.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Platt. I know I have some of your same concerns, especially about the drainage. And so I guess let's go through the board's questions for Mr. Newland. Mike B., did you have any questions about the design, about anything else in reference to the application?
It was addressed partially during the initial discussion. I was going to ask about fencing, especially with regard to the pool infrastructure as it was going in, and obviously the renderings weren't really showing the full ringing of fencing that I was expecting for an in-ground pool structure. So I was very interested to hear about that cover system and kind of mitigating that potential impact. So that's really interesting. And that's per code. That's something Fairfax County allows.
Well, that's what I had a question about, because I know the code typically, if the pool abuts a house, then the house has to have either alarms on the doors, or it needs to have the pool covered, like you were saying, Richard. But if the rest of the yard is not fenced in, you still need to have a fence around the pool, at least for those other three sides. So even if you do have an automatic cover.
Well, that was I'm on again, I guess. That was my understanding originally. This cover thing, I mean, back up a second. The whole yard is fenced, but it's a rail fence with 4 feet high that doesn't really count, but it is fenced. But when I discovered this in the code, I was as surprised as you guys are that, and it has to meet ASTM some number, which I think these covers do, and it has to be a powered one. So at night when you go inside, you push a button, you close the whole thing, and then you're not required to have a fence, in quotes, all the way around. I mean, I'm calling the glass thing there a railing, but actually it's the same as a fence. And if we have to, if this powered cover costs too much, what we're suggesting is possibly adding more of that railing along the rear side of the pool
to complete the enclosure.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, since we haven't priced this all out yet, it's up in the air as whether we'll do. So I want to get both options out there so you guys will be aware of that. We can put the cover on and not the railing if we put, and so on.
And vice versa. Yeah, that's a new one on me, guys. I was really interested to hear that one. So that was going to be.
And you're looking for full approval tonight, Richard?
If we can get it, sure. I mean, we were looking back in June to get this through, and lovely old pandemic and everything has set us all back quite a ways. So whatever we could do. I mean, the other couple of things just to address, and I think Mr. Barry can talk about some of this too, that there's a whole lot of, to the left, as you're looking at this, to the left, there's actually a chunk of Reston property and back between the Platts and the Barry's house. Back in 2018, they had a whole lot of backing and forthing and studying and what they did with that. And they created a whole drainage, a solution to most of the drainage issues. We may, with this pool and the patio, create some minor drainage issues on our side, which is away from the Platts property, away from the Reston property on the other side, where they put in a massive drainage, not facility, but area, with troughs and berms and everything else. There's also, in terms of privacy issue, I understand from the Platts point of view, there are a lot of trees over there. We'd be more than willing to plant a whole lot more in there to create more privacy on that side. That's the Reston thing. That's where everything goes now. And we're on the far side of the house from where all that is. So I don't think we're creating any major drainage problems with that. The privacy thing we could probably take care of with some landscaping. I mean, if it really is a huge issue, we could even entertain the possibility of redesigning that lower patio, making it smaller, and just have the stairs coming down there to the backyard. There are things we could do with that to tweak it a little bit, but we really would like to be able to move ahead with this project, to say the least.
Understood. And you kind of brought it up and touched on one of the other items I was going to ask you about, which had to do with the specific, let's call it pipe stem, for lack of a better phrase here, for the RA property that sits between the two parcels in question. Right. I mean, this is RA property. This is not a drainage easement, correct? This is correct. RA property. So, correct. And if I read this correctly, and I went through it in some detail, this was a proposed and constructed drainage feature with RA's buy-in and involvement in the design and implementation as such, correct?
Correct.
So this was to hypothetically address what drainage concerns occurred or were previously in play along this borderline, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And the scope of the the renovations that we're talking about, we are not affecting grades in the front of the home, correct?
Right. We're not doing anything there except the doors and that's it. That's all we're doing out front.
Okay. And again, I reviewed the GIS and the topo mapping that Fairfax County's got available, which it looks like the Falcon report also presented, but shows a rather unclear rendering. The topo drains, again, from the top of the rendering to the bottom, so from north to south. And again, you're not affecting any of the drainage upslope, right? So we're only talking about doing any sort of earthwork operation in the southern piece of the parcel, correct?
Yeah, the only place we're affecting it is directly behind the existing screen porch.
So really the pool infrastructure and what's happening in the backyard shouldn't have any impact really detrimentally to the flow in those photographs, correct?
All the drainage issues are on the other side of the house, I guess. Is that the east side, I guess, the west side? I can't remember.
West side, yeah.
West side, yeah.
Okay.
And we're up against an existing brick wall on the other side. So there is some, and anyway, that picture you showed of all the drainage coming through there and going into on the RA property that's what happens, yeah.
Okay. But again, that water's flowing from the north. So I just want to make it clear and to ask you specifically that we weren't doing any earthwork operations, any land disturbance, et cetera, on the north end of the parcel that would be flowing into the swale.
Not changing anything in the front driveway, everything all stays the same.
Okay. So from that standpoint, I think, Michael, I'm good for now.
Okay. And I just want to tag off of that grading question because just while we're talking about it, Richard, have you guys looked at the disturbed area with construction and access to the site to the back? I'm assuming it's going to be over 2,500 square feet based on the size of this. Have you guys talked to a civil engineer yet about that?
No, I think, the only area we're putting there is, I'll say roughly 30 by 40 is 1,200 square feet. When you add the 10 feet around it, we'll probably access this from the right-hand side on the outside of that existing brick wall. So we're below the 2,500 square feet. The in-ground patio, basically.
Oh, Richard, are you still there? Richard, are you still there?
I think he froze.
Yeah, because what I calculated is, yes, it's 1,200 square feet of an improved area, but if you do the 10-foot buffer and then you do a 10-foot access easement from the front, to me, it's pretty darn close to 2,500 square feet. So I'm not sure whether the county's going to probably want at least a conservation plan at the minimum, maybe even a grading plan. I don't know if he can reconnect, hopefully. Is there a way to let him know that he's disconnected?
Yeah, I'll send him a message.
Okay. Well, in the meantime, let's see if he's reconnecting. I don't know, staff. We've never had this happen before. What do we do?
You can go on to more. You can go on to.
Should we just? Well, I mean, I don't want to move on. There's a lot of. I'm sure I can go through and just see if anyone else had some discussion.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
Okay, Dan, did you have any discussion items? And then if there's any questions for Mr. Newland, we can ask him when he gets back. Do you have any thoughts on the design?
I like the design overall. I think my two questions are probably for Richard, because one's just clarification on one of the drawings that says slate on concrete, but then he also has some tile that he referenced verbally and that's shown in there as a example of what's going in around the pool. And then
all right, we'll hold any questions you may have, because I'm hoping he'll join back, but I just was wondering if you had any thoughts. But it sounds like overall you're a proponent of the design, so you're.
Yeah, I mean,
but I do see where you're talking slate on concrete. I see what you're talking about.
My only slight concern would be like you're indicating some concern just over drainage and stuff, but otherwise, I think I've got two clarifying questions for materials and architecture type things.
Okay. Well, hopefully when he comes back on, we'll be able to ask those. Karen, did you have any thoughts on the design that you wanted to discuss?
No, I'm happy with the materials and the design. My concern is the grading.
Okay. Well, hopefully he'll come back and we'll talk about that.
Because it's there's some very strange kind of lumps, you know, that look like people have tried to. It sits on a very high mound, and I'm just wondering if that were to be softened, and maybe the pool is a step down, or something a little bit more interesting in the elevations of the backyard. So
anyway. It does look like there was a weird, and maybe are the berries still on? Are the applicants still on?
No, something happened to everybody. Sandra just noticed. There's Kim Berry. Let's see if she can tell us what happened.
We had a
blackout.
Oh, there's power. Power went on, huh? Can you guys unmute the berries real quick?
We're doing it. I don't know if she can. Because she should be able to now. They said they had a blackout.
John, if you want to try to unmute yourself, maybe you might have.
Oh, hey.
There you go.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Hey guys, sorry. So we lost Richard, we lost you guys, we lost everybody in that area of Reston apparently. So
yeah, the Pats, yeah, everybody.
So we were having some questions about like what it looks like there was these kind of humps in the backyard that exist already, and just kind of curious where you guys from. Were those there when you guys moved in, and kind of do you know what they do? I mean, what was the RA solution for the drainage? Has it helped? Has it really not done much? Kind of what's been your guys' thought on that?
Oh yeah, no, this is a good point. We had a whole we haven't changed anything, basically we went through. If you look at the files, because I talked to Trevor, we had basically gone through all the drainage stuff earlier in 2018, like literally like 8 sessions, I think, between the board and the covenants committee and everything. And it was ultimately dismissed. I mean, because we had a bunch of soil experts on both sides and everything. Basically, nothing has changed. It's the same. We're not trying to change anything on that side of the house. We're trying to be very cautious in how we were putting together a plan so that we could enjoy our property. We have 2 daughters that, really would like to enjoy our backyard, and we're just really excited about doing this. But we haven't changed anything. Those humps have been there since the beginning of time, I think.
Gotcha. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure those humps weren't part of the drainage solution. Hey, Richard. Everybody's going to lose power over there. So we were just talking about. I just wanted to make sure the humps that are in the backyard weren't part of the drainage solution that was presented 3 years ago. It sounds like they're not. They've been there forever. And whether they were approved when they were put in, I don't even know if you need approval for whatever the heck they did. But yes, okay. So. All right, so going back, Richard, I think we had a couple people. Dan had a couple questions for you when you dropped off. So, Dan, do you want to go back and ask her a couple questions you had?
Yeah, sure. So, Richard, I'm going to lose the sheet now. 34. Oh, that's a different question.
Thank you.
On one of the drawings, there we go. On sheet 31, you've got a marking that says slate on concrete, but then later on you have tile shown, and you had mentioned verbally tile for the area. So I just wanted to make sure it was one or the other.
It's the tile.
Okay.
It's an old note. Sorry.
Okay. And then on sheet 34, on the right elevation, it seems like there might be just a artifact of something that's over the little patio in the back, the deck. Yeah, there's like a panel with vertical lines. Is that intentional, or is that just
that's going to be sort of a privacy screen. They're going to be vertical slats, which also would keep keep the, it adds to the privacy for the plats next door and anybody that's sitting on the little porch.
Okay, so that's just gonna be wood that generally matches the other wood
It'll
shown on
match,
here?
it'll match the siding. It'll match well, the hardy plank or the other one that we're talking about. It'll be the dark color, yes.
Okay. All right, thanks. Those are my two questions, Michael.
Okay. Karen, I know you had a couple questions as well for Richard.
Pardon me.
Yeah, I was commenting on the sort of the hump that the whole back of the pool and the back patios are sitting on. And I'm just wondering if, I mean, it's a very strange, and I think from the information that was presented, that it was probably done over by previous owners for some strange purpose. But it's sort of like it's a site that has topography, but the design is completely flat. And I find that a little bit like something is missing.
Part of, I mean, I don't know why that area is raised. We're raising, if you look in that photograph you're looking at, you can see the concrete floor of the screen porch right there, and there's a little doggy door right there next to it. We're elevating that up 18 to 24 inches. I don't remember off the top of my head. And that will be the level of the whole, of everything we're doing, of the pool area, let's say. So when we dig out for the pool, we're going to have a lot of extra dirt. So we'll be filling in. There'll be a retaining wall that'll be buried across that back line, because we'll have to hold all this together with a retaining wall across the back of this hump. But we'll be able to use the dirt when we excavate out for the pool to fill it all in. So it is sort of a weird thing. I don't know why it's there, but it's there. So we're elevating that whole side, and the area around the pool will be flat with a minor slope for some drainage, of course. And then when you step down to the lower patio, we're trying to take advantage of some of the topo that's there, and it's there, so we're using it.
Well,
so Richard, sorry, go ahead, Karen.
According to some of the history that was presented, this part of the site actually drained to the east rather than to the west. And I've been trying to figure out how it did that, but it's something about this hump feels
well, any of the water coming from the front, Karen, goes down the side of the house and follows along the outside of that existing brick wall, which extends out, I'll say 30 feet, something like that. So any water coming down that side of the house doesn't even hit our back. I mean, it's on our property, but doesn't hit the backyard until well after the end of that existing brick wall. If that makes any sense to you.
Well, I can only try to imagine how it drained to the east, but it just seems like everything wants to send more water down to that ravine, which is like, that's a big deal.
Well, yeah, most of that, this whole thing that happened, back in 2018 or whatever, the majority of all this, and they had that one photograph that showed all the water running between the Platt's house and the Berry's house. Almost all of that water is draining into this new rock swale that got built a couple, 3 years ago, whenever that was.
Oh, yeah, so that's a humongous thing. Yeah.
I'm sorry?
I said, that's a humongous thing.
Yeah, it is. Yes, it is.
It's unnatural.
Yeah, well, it's on RA property, so go figure, right? That was a joke. Never mind. I'm kidding.
That's because there was the only place to put it, and they entered into an agreement that the neighbors pay for it.
Right. No, it theoretically resolved most of the drainage problems in that area. And where there's minor drainage down, as I said, the outside of that existing brick wall that carries between our house and the house to the east, I guess it is. And it carries it well past the back of that hump, as it were.
But it's all sloped still down. It's still sloped where it goes at the end of the day, the yard all slopes to that swale. I mean, that's the reason why it's there.
No.
Well,
No, I don't think so. I think the stuff coming down the east side of the house goes all the way and directed into the backyard. It doesn't go across the backyard into that swale.
That's right.
It all,
Correct.
it
The
all,
topography would bear that out.
is the
The
water
contour lines indicate that as well.
house to go straight to the back of the backyard rather than to the swale.
It goes to the
correct. You can see on the site plan you're looking at there where the brick wall goes and extends all the way out some 30 plus feet. So any water coming down that side, most of the water comes down and goes in between the Platt's house and the Berry's house off to the west side there. What little drainage there is between their lot 63 and lot 62 comes down between those two houses, but it's pushed off into the backyard because of that existing brick wall, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Doesn't the water coming off of that large elevated, whatever you call it, is generally pushes it off to the west, and you want it to go to the back. There's a huge depression back there, a huge ravine, and that's where you really want it to get to.
Right. I think all the water coming across the front from the north is directed into that swale. All the rest of the water, the site basically slopes to the rear. Okay.
Yep.
So any water coming from that hump, as it were, or anything we're doing is not necessarily going to drain over to the west. It's going to drain straight out the back into the back area.
It also has a part of it that actually turns, the slope goes off to one side as opposed to straight back. Anyway, it's just a concern that I find discomforting.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's just because I've been able to walk behind the property, but when you look at like your elevation on sheet 33 on the rear elevation, there's a big slope from right to left on the back of this house. That goes, it's higher up at the screen porch that then goes underneath of the elevated screen porch. To me, it's clear that there's an elevation change from right to left, but maybe I'm just, I think at the end of the day, Richard, from my understanding of the 10-foot surrounding area and then having a 10-foot easement access to get to this backyard, to me, you're probably going to need at least at the minimum a conservation water drainage plan with the county just to show them where you're doing the water. So I'm just giving you the heads up, and I think it would be helpful for us to see it as well. That's where I think the discussion is going, is that it'd be helpful to have some sort of plan where all this new impervious covering, where is all the water slope to, where are these patios graded, what is the slope and where are they graded, and then if anything is going to be hard piped, where is it hard piped and where is it being discharged?
Okay, we can do
I think that would be helpful for the situation, because you are adding a pretty substantial amount of impervious area. So I think that's where that leads to. Karen, did you have anything else besides the grading?
No, that's really the source of any discomfort that I have, and I would think it really matters to be a little bit more careful and thoughtful about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think when we get ready with the permit drawings, we can come back to you with the grading plan. If that's okay.
Okay.
And I guess also, is there some way where you might have a little bit more dimension to the surface of the pool and the things in the backyard? I just feel like it's a blanket instead of something that is living. Anyway,
We can straighten that out. We'll get a grading plan together. We'll show the flow of the water on that side of the house. As I said, mostly is directed by that brick wall that extends so far back there, and it's the pool itself is going to capture some of this water. But yeah, we'll come back with a grading plan. We're almost to that stage with the drawings now. So
I spent some time looking at that, and unfortunately it wasn't raining, so
okay.
I had to imagine.
All right, thank you, Karen. Scott, did you have anything?
Yeah, one quick question. This right here, is that existing?
There's an existing deck there.
Okay, all right. And can we go to page 38, please, or sheet 38? It has the elevation, or I'm sorry, it may have been 35. I'm mistaken. 34, I'm sorry. So this right here, just to be sure, Richard, is that the hardy plank turning?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
We're just putting vertical slats of hardy plank that'll create a privacy screen on that side. Yes.
Okay, but it's consistent with the front and
Same
back
color,
of it.
same everything.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. And I had another question. So the brick, you had the peel and stick. Are you the existing? I'm imagine it's a existing masonry cavity wall on the building. Are you painting it, or it looks like? And it could be my computer screen that the color is changing from existing to new. Can you elaborate?
All of the brick in the house will be painted that dark color.
Okay, it's gonna be okay.
All of it except the chimney is an accent. We're going to put lick and stick brick, which is about a ½ inch thick, over the whole chimney, and that's that yellowish color.
Gotcha.
This is an accent, and that kind of matches the color we're putting for the soffit underneath. We didn't get it, but there's a sample in all of these things in there showing what color the soffit is.
Yeah, no, it's a very thorough application. The other question I had with travertine, I think this is the design overall is exquisite. But travertine, one thing I found is it's such a porous stone. So with an exterior application, are you sealing it just from
this? Actually, we've got some samples. This is actually a tile.
Okay. Oh, great. Okay.
Surfaced. So
okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. That was more just like for the berries, so you're aware. But I think that's smart.
Yeah. Don't want to be out there scrubbing it every afternoon, right?
Yeah. Exactly. You'd be pretty busy for sure. So the glass railing too. Again, forgive me for diving into them. This is again not a criticism, but are you holding with the pool splashing? Are you holding the glass panel off the surface of?
It sits off the face by about 1.5 inches.
Okay. Awesome.
So you could squeegee the whole thing right underneath the railing.
Okay, that's exactly what I was thinking. Okay, thank you so much.
Pardon me.
I wanted to add one other thing, is that there was mention made about the sound and the noise that comes from a metal roof. And for 30 years, I've lived in a house with a metal roof, and all of my neighbors have metal roofs, and it's really, we don't find that to be an issue. So I just thought I'd mention that. Thank you.
Good.
Okay. Scott, did you have any other things, or is that it?
I love the garage door.
Great.
Us too.
Yeah.
Seconded.
So I have a couple questions, Richard, on the back. So what I'm worried about, so the front, you have this accent of wood, and I think it doesn't make the black look too black. What's a little deceiving in this rendering is if you paint all this brick black or a dark charcoal, all those white grout lines are not going to exist, what they show in this model. So it's going to be dark, dark, dark. So is there any way on the back elevation that we can introduce some sort of wood element somewhere that maybe pops the back a little bit so it's not so, I don't know, I'm picturing the house that's on Ring Road. I drive by it. Sometimes I like it. Sometimes I don't, depending on the time of day and how much light is outside. And I'm trying to figure out if this is just going to be too dark. And if there's anywhere you think we could potentially kind of introduce some wood elements on a vertical surface to kind of help break up the back. I mean, because the deck from this angle, the decking is a good start, but the problem is that you're not really going to see that in the vertical plane. It's going to be pretty much all in the horizontal.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe there's somewhere on the screen porch or something. I don't know.
Well, one thing you've got, and I guess we haven't focused on that too much, is underneath the soffit is going to be a color that's very similar to the deck. So you're going to have this kind of light golden band.
And what's the overhang? How big is the overhang now? About a foot? Or?
At least a foot, yeah, if not more. Okay. So you're going to have that accent when you're standing, and you're not in the helicopter that was used to make that rendering, that you're actually standing on the ground. You'll see that goldish band running all the way around the house, and I think that'll help a lot.
Okay.
And then
and does this little bump out on the back where the deck is, where the little screen porch deck is underneath of that also going to get the same under soffit treatment? Where I'm assuming that overhangs the brick a little bit. It looks like it kind of
The roof
out.
on that will have the same soffit accent. Is that what you're asking? Yes.
No, like so like where that cantilever's out. I don't know if that makes sense.
Well, the main roof, the big sloped roof, will have this
here.
gold soffit underneath it. That's just a deck. That's the floor of that will match the deck.
Yeah.
So that'll be the what is it, Zuri material. So you'll have that as a lighter color there as well.
What color is the underside of the roof over the little poke out there?
I guess we don't really have an answer for that yet, but we could paint that the light color to match all the other stuff. The golden color, yes.
What was that?
It would warm it up.
Okay.
And then the only other question I had is any lighting? Is any lighting proposed for this application? I haven't seen any lighting.
They're not on the rendering, but I said earlier when we were talking that there'll be those little butterscotch lights that we had a picture of there. Those little lights right there. There'll be one on either side of the sliding glass door that we're adding to the dining room. There'll be one on the other far side of the screen porch opening. There'll be one of those. There's an existing light outside the little deck we're turning into a screen porch. That'll have a light like this on there. So there'll be a light on that little deck. There are two of those lights out by the front. We're replacing two existing lights at the front with the little schoolhouse light that you see there. So there'll be about 6 of those lights around the house, 2 in the front and roughly 4 in the back.
Okay, I think it'd be helpful to actually put those on a plan so we can see where they are. So also RA can make sure that's what's installed. Do you plan any lights on the steps on the rear? Because I believe there's 3 treads. So by code, you're going to need a light out there.
We'll add a light to that. We'll add a light to that. Yes.
Okay, so just maybe one in the tread or something to help light it up, or maybe on the side or something. So just maybe a lighting plan I think will be helpful. The other thing is when I'm looking at the rear elevation, this is a perfect example. You have these 3 rear basement windows, and you're now blocking them. What is the plan for that? Because that looks very janky there.
We're probably in reality going to move that little landing over enough so that it misses that one window next to the compressor, but the other ones will fill in. It's a storage room in the basement.
Okay, so those will go away. Okay.
Those will go away, yeah.
All right, I think it'd be nice to update that. I think from a screening point also, I do tend to agree that there's no, did you put any screening around the equipment?
It's backed up. It's just outside that brick wall.
Right, but is there any screening around it from the neighbor? I mean, I know it's screened from them who will be using the pool, but what about the other neighbor on that other side of the property?
Their garage on the other side. Their garage is there, no windows.
But it's still someone else's property, so it's going to make noise. I mean, we usually require pool equipment to be screened, so I would recommend some sort of bushes around that.
Yeah.
We can add, yeah.
Yep.
Just some sort of landscaping. I think a landscaping plan would be helpful. I can't imagine all this is going to go in with no, there is some landscaping here and there shown. Maybe just add additional bushes where they actually are planned, just to make sure we capture that on the plan. And then, like we said, with the grading plan, or just even a conservation plan. It doesn't need to be a full grading plan, but just a conservation and water, erosion and sediment control, what they require. Just to help us kind of understand the topography and make sure that wherever this water is shedding, that we know where it's going. Overall, though, the concept of the design is great, and I'm in full support of modernizing Reston. I just think we need to address a little bit of those concerns. So does anybody have a motion they want to make, or any other further comments that anyone might have?
Can I just ask a quick question? We'd like to be able to move ahead with this and the permitting process and all that stuff. If we could get some sort of overall approval with the statement that we'll come back with a lighting plan that won't be any different than what I just told you, where we're putting lights, the grading plan or conservation plan and a landscaping plan. But that way we can get on with the architecture and the permitting process. If we can, the motion could somehow say that, that would be much appreciated.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can give you a design concept approval. And I mean, you have most of your pictures and everything. I just think, but yeah, because those obviously those you're going to need at least the conservation plan you'll need for the county. So, I mean, would it, are you saying you want more than an in-concept approval? I mean, because I think the design everyone is behind. I think the design is good. I think it's just more of some landscaping, like you said, and the grading and some lighting plan is really the main detail that we need. So
way back historically,
we can give an approval. We can give an approval with the stipulation that we still need to get those. So if those come in and we feel like we need to adjust something, we might need to adjust something.
Just so you understand. That would be good.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was part of our idea anyway, that we needed to do those things anyway. But if we can get a final approval on all the architectural stuff, we can come back with the landscaping plan, lighting, outside lighting anyway, and the conservation plan. Sure.
Okay. Does anybody have a motion?
So this is Mike B. I'm curious in terms of the mechanics of how we want to do this. So it's not an in-concept approval of the package. This is going to be, how did we want to handle this there, Michael? I guess I'm struggling with the wording of how we want to do it.
I think what we can do is just say, and I can make the motion, but
sure.
So I would say we motion to approve the application as submitted with the following amendments / requirements, that the applicant provide a stormwater / grading plan, a landscaping plan, and a lighting plan for final approval. And then I would also recommend them to update the drawings with the couple of clarifications that the DRB had pointed out in regards to the windows and the railings and some other things like that, just to make sure that the plan is all approved and it's cleaned up.
Love it. I'll second that motion.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion about the motion? No. All right, so all those in favor say aye.
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 Are there any nays? Any abstentions? All right, the motion passes.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Richard. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to application I, which is 11514 Hickory Cluster. Before we hear this application, I wanted to make a motion to move into executive session because I wanted to talk about this executive session as well with our executive counsel. So there's a motion to move into an executive session. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, it'll just take a moment.
Thank you.
Bear with me 1 minute while I prepare the room. Thank you.
Just so everyone knows, if you are a DRB member, there should be a screen pop up that it's inviting you into a breakout session that you'll need to accept.
Fair point. I didn't see that.
I don't think that Karen has left the breakout room yet.
I'm not showing that she's in there right now, Cam. Everybody's left the room, apparently.
Okay, she's back.
I think Michael needs to be unmuted.
Yeah, we all need to be made co-hosted.
All right, there we go. Okay, is everyone unmuted? I think Scott's still muted, Dan's still muted. All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn the executive session.
I will second.
All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Everyone, I'm sure, agrees. Sorry about that, guys. We just needed to talk about a couple things with council first before we moved on to these applications. These next two ones, they both applied to. So now we're on application I, which is for 11514 Hickory Cluster.
Hey, Michael.
Address. Yes.
We need a cleansing motion. I think.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Can somebody give me the wording again for that? Tony, can you get some wording for that?
Make a motion that the members of the design review board certify to the best of each and every one of their individual knowledges that only the matters appropriate for discussion in executive session or heard or discussed in executive session, that being in nature of consultation with counsel.
Yeah, what he said, does anyone second that?
I will second that.
Great. We have a motion to cleanse in a second. Does anybody, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Great, thank you, Tony. All right, so now we're moving on to 11514 Hickory Cluster. We have, are the applicants here? I apologize, I cannot pronounce your names and I don't want to butcher them, so I'm sure staff knows who the applicants are. If you guys could introduce yourselves and we will move from there.
They're unmuting.
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead, please.
All right.
So perhaps
the applicant, Sanani and Brunilda.
Yes, we're here.
Great. Could you guys present your application, please?
Tell her what.
We just added a door up to the roof to get access to the roof. Yeah, right here.
Okay.
And it seems very necessary for people to go to their roof.
She means a flat roof, needs maintenance all the time. You have no other way to go there. Just if you have 40-foot ladder, and you may fall from the ladder. So.
Okay. And then were there other, it looks like there was other improvements of a tile floor there and some flower boxes as well.
Yeah, made it more beautiful, more clean. If you see before and after. Still, the project is not finished because you guys sent out a stop ladder. But after everything is going to be done and finished, going to look like a loft in New York, not in Reston.
Okay. So is that all you have to present?
Yeah, I mean, the lady, she has physical problems, so she cannot go through the ladder to go to the roof for cleaning and for whatever she wants to go to her terrace. So, and her idea and everything which is built here is built according to the codes. Everything is open, it's not closed. If it needs to be inspected and everything else, it's open, nothing is closed, nothing from inside, nothing is finished. So everything stands as it is right now, and waiting for you guys. What you gonna say?
We just did the door. That's all.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure you guys had time to present your application because I have to go through the affected parties on the application. So I just wanted to make sure. We'll come back to you. We'll come back to you and ask you any questions that you have. But I guess there's the planters as well that you're as part of your application that are on the front of the home, I believe.
So for that, we have has to be discussed that too. Really?
Yeah, it's part of the application. So I guess just what material are they? What is kind of holding them up? I can't quite tell from the photos.
It's a metal bracket. With the best way you can do it to not see a lot of things. It's beautiful European look. Everybody else has in other side in just one hook and a big vase, which looks not good. I think this is the best way to hang them. So I don't know. I think you guys have to tell all the other neighbors to do it this way, so it can look a lot better.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
No problem.
All right. So I have a couple affected parties that I need to go through. So as a reminder, affected parties have 3 minutes to discuss their statement. We have all of your statements in the record, and this is if you want to kind of present your case. Why can I not find my list? Staff, can you call on the first person?
Sarah?
I can't find my list where they are.
Sarah T.
There they are.
Yep. Hello.
Go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah.
So Sarah, if you could present your, yep.
Yeah, I'm Sarah Teagle and I live right next door. And I submitted a long letter, and I have to say up front, it was written by a neighbor in Block 3. I mean, this is Block 3 of Hickory Cluster, who is an architect. And so I cannot describe it in a lot of detail. He kind of, yeah, there it is, did all the research for me. But the bottom line for me is that my concern is the area that goes above the firewall is apparently a fire hazard to people on either side, and that door is closer to my side. So I'm very nervous that this construction that goes up, I don't know how many inches, 30 inches, is a fire hazard to my home. But there are also, I'm sure you guys are aware of the beauty of and treasure of Charles Goodwin in Lake Ann neighborhood. And I'm definitely on the side of the people who want to preserve the pristine beauty of that architecture and to be very, very careful of any addition. And I think it's worth saying that, you know, we're here talking about approval of something that they already did. They didn't consider any of the rules or go through any of the steps for approval before this. And so that just made it all the more difficult. So, you know, it's the fire hazard main concern, but this is obviously not just a way to access the roof. It's a new living space that they're creating. And our strip of 7 townhomes is arguably right now the most pristine of any other of the of all of the 3 blocks. And it does present, you know, a completely different well, it disrupts the integrity of this beautiful architecture, and I don't think it was carefully done. And so that's really
great.
But like I said, the main concern. Well, I said it. I'm the house with the red door.
Yep. Thank you. The next affected party I have is Marcus Holmberg. Is he going to be speaking tonight, Steph?
I don't see Marcus here.
Okay. And then I have Sylvia Merrill.
And she is not here either.
Okay. Is there anybody else from Hickory Cluster that is an affected party?
I'm trying to see if one person is just a person named Anne. Please let us know if you're an affected party. Okay, she's not unmuting. Okay. Then I think
Okay,
Sarah was.
No more affected parties.
Yeah, I think Sarah was the only one then.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go through the application then and see what we're dealing with. So, Mike B. Oh, you have more applicants, sir?
That's it. Go ahead.
Oh no, he's the applicant. He can be unmuted. He wanted to explain something.
Okay.
Go ahead, sir. You had something to add to the application?
Yeah, I mean, as you listen to her concerns, I think, what is the fire hazard over there?
The what?
She was concerned about fire hazard. What is the fire hazard over there?
I think it's more of a building code concern with the
building code,
with the combustible construction. So
yeah, for building code,
I don't want to argue with you about the
engineer.
I'm not here for building code. Okay, I'm here for design review. I'm a licensed architect. I could talk building code all day, but I'm not here to give my professional opinion on building code. So that you guys have to go through the county with, and they will address those concerns. I'm here for strictly aesthetic purposes. And that's why the design review board exists. So we heard the affected party. Everyone has a right in Reston to be an affected party. So that's, but we're going to move on. So Mike B, did you have any comments or questions for the applicant?
No, I do not. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah. Dan, did you have any questions?
Is the tile meant to help with drainage or just to put a different material down, or why did y'all choose to go with that instead of the roofing material that was up there previously? Sorry, I think you'll have to be unmuted.
Staff, can you guys unmute?
We decided to go with the tile because it's stronger material, cleaner, look better. And the other material, TPO, if you walk with something sharp, the nails, something can make a hole and you're going to have a leak inside. And also the draining, all those other houses over there. Yes, if you see my roof on top, the other one, which is with TPO, you see how much water is all around. And here is nothing. And that was the reason. So for the draining, and if you walk upstairs, do not make a hole so you can have a damage inside the house.
Okay, and then you had mentioned at one point when it was finished, how much better it would look. So what does finished entail? Something significantly beyond what we've got photos of? Or y'all planning any other improvements?
Right now it's as it is because we got the stop order and we stopped everything. So.
But if that were to get lifted, if you get approval tonight, would you be trying to do more than what's shown here, or just finish this up?
So if it's gonna be approval, what we have to do, we have to finish around the door here. If you see, we haven't finished. The side, the black side of the 24-inch here, gonna be white, so you cannot see it from all the cover around that. Gonna be white color, and we're gonna paint the trim if needs the trim. If other houses have brown color, whatever, we're gonna paint that same color, so everything to look the same, but not other changes.
Okay, so you wouldn't be proposing a railing along the edge?
No. Just okay. we just haven't finished around the door here. And the way the black cover on the side going to be changed, going to be not changed, but going to be covered with white TPO. So going to look all white like the roof.
Okay, thanks. Those are my questions, Michael.
Okay. Karen, did you have any questions?
No, thanks.
No. Scott, did you have any questions?
No, thank you.
Okay. The only question I had was for the roof addition. I guess I think the one big concern we have is that I wish I couldn't see this thing from the street. I wish it was set, just far enough back that you couldn't see it. The unfortunate thing is no matter where you're standing, you can see it from down below.
I understand your concern. Yeah, that's true. But
Yeah,
you really have you really have to focus to see that one. It's not like,
No, I mean, obviously I was walking through and I knew to look for it. So that's probably the only reason why I saw it, but I could see it. And that's where it was like, oh, and I understand you want to get access to your roof. You know, I have a flat roof here in Colston Cluster. I have to get I have a big 38-foot ladder that I got to use to get up there. And, you know, it's a pain in the butt to get up there. I think the biggest concern though is, I would make sure, did you guys contact the county about getting a building permit for this?
so we're ready. We had all the plans and everything, but where we have the stop ladder and all the calls from you guys, we stopped everything. Okay. So we're gonna wait what you guys gonna say. So to move ahead.
But we submitted one application.
So that's why I never covered everything inside. So everything inside is exposed. You can see the truss and the 2x4s and everything, you know.
Yeah.
If we need to inspect it, so everything is open.
Okay. Yeah, just as just as an architect, I see a couple things that necessarily you want to make sure to get, like, you don't have a hand railing, you don't have no. Some things like that. So I just want to make sure that there's little things like that you guys address from, if it truly is access for maintenance. When they applied the tile on the roof, did you guys re-slope the roof at all, or did you just put down the tile directly on the TPO?
No, we put 2-inch foam insulation underneath that.
Okay.
We did all water tight, everything underneath that. Mm-hmm. We put I forgot the name of German thing, orange thing. So we did that, and after we thought, we did that as you do a shower.
Yeah. Does it seem like it's draining? Is it draining better? Because a lot of the pictures still show water up there. Is that water in this picture here or no?
I don't know, probably it's a reflection, but I know the second roof is full of water.
Yeah. I guess I just want to make sure that the improvement that you're, proposing is actually working. Versus from an
you see on
from
top
an aesthetic
of this,
standpoint.
Yeah,
I see that water, but if you scroll down in that picture,
it probably is a little bit there.
Seems like there's water. There's water still sitting there.
Yeah, just the rain that day. I don't know.
Yeah, so to me, it's becoming a little bit more of a safety hazard up there if that tile is slippery. Just my 2 cents. But that's more of kind of a safety concern. So I do think what's tricky about approving a patio up here is that the original design didn't include a patio up there. There are beautiful upper level patios in Hickory Cluster.
Yeah.
And I know there's some in Waterview next door. So it's not like it's unprecedented in the area. But I think what's tough is from access for maintenance is maybe okay, but it's a little tricky because then is everybody along your road then going to add, upper level patios, and does it kind of create a domino effect where everybody now wants to start adding a door? So I think we're just trying to be safe on what we approve from that standpoint, because it could aesthetically really affect kind of, if everybody starts putting these little pop-ups, it could aesthetically affect the whole entire row. And this, this is a designated almost for landmark status from a historic standpoint. I know it's under the survey process right now with the county for being a historic property, and something like that wouldn't be approved on a historic property. So that's just kind of my 2 cents on it. Does anybody have any other questions or an emotion that they want to have for the application? And remember that we also have the vase. There's also the flower boxes on the front, just as a reminder to the board.
Oh, thanks, Michael. Actually, so another question on those: are those essentially permanently attached to the wall? Is that the reason for them being included in the application?
They are unapproved, which is why they're in the application. I don't know if they're permanently attached or not.
So
are there any cluster,
to put them in application.
guidelines?
We never thought we're going to put them in application. It's just 2 brackets and a box going in 2 brackets. That's it. I mean, I
Are
don't
there
know.
any cluster guidelines that we're aware of, staff?
The Hickory cluster book shows built-in planters on some units. They're painted white, they're built in, and it just shows it, and it has an arrow that says planters. So it doesn't have anything in writing, but the built-in ones are usually on the second level.
What do you mean built-in? What that means?
It's already built into the elevation.
So those planters are bought, they are already made from the factory or whatever who made them. They are composite.
The builder already made them.
No.
Built into the wall.
No,
is
it's
what you're
not
saying.
true.
You can.
Yeah,
you
no, I
can go
understand what
closer.
he's saying.
So they were bought.
I wanted to make sure that there was,
modern or
I
whatever.
wanted to make sure there was nothing in the actual guidelines that said they're not allowed. I mean, to me, the planters, like, I mean, I have a flower box on my balcony, right? I have it attached to the railing, and it's such a small item. To me, these things could easily be removed. More than likely, they're going to be removed when the homeowner, moves. I don't personally have a problem with them. I guess what I always am concerned about, and what legal always makes sure is is it against the cluster guideline? It doesn't sound like it's implicitly against the guideline, but it's kind of a gray area from my understanding. So staff, there's nothing that says you cannot add a planter to your house. It just says.
It just
what
shows
exactly
us
does the guideline say about planters?
It shows us something called a planting box that's built in on people's balconies.
And it's on the balcony portion, not in the front like this one is.
That's right. It's on the balcony.
Okay, but it doesn't say like if anyone wants to add
It doesn't
a
say.
planter box.
It doesn't say.
I mean, I'm not against them personally. I think it does add aesthetically to the home. I don't think it distracts from the design. I think it kind of repeats the window glazing kind of design that's going on. So I don't personally have a problem with them, but that's just my opinion, which is what we're here to give, I guess. So does anyone have a motion or any more questions about anything? Anybody?
Nope.
I can take a
So,
stab at a
I guess-
motion.
Okay, all right. Yeah, go for it.
Hey, if you've got one ready, go for
it. I don't have one ready, but I can think of one. Hey, you go ahead if you have a motion. Let's hear it.
So this, I don't have one written or anything. I'm gonna try to verbalize it. So I move that the design review board approve the door and roof modifications shown in the application due to the applicant's health-related issues and need for maintenance of the roof of the home. I further move that the design review board approve the planters shown as temporary planters. And in the case that the applicant were to sell the home, both the planters would be removed and the door and other modifications to the roof would be changed to the previous design.
Okay, so you're basically approving the application, but saying when the applicant sells the property, they need to remove all the alterations.
Yes.
Okay. So we have a motion for that. And so do we have a second on that motion?
Second.
We have a second from Karen. Do we have any further discussion? Anybody have anything additional?
Can I make one small suggestion to Dan's motion?
Sure.
To consider when the applicant moves from the property, sells the property, or no longer needs the modification, whichever comes first.
I'd be happy to include that, sure.
How does Reston enforce that or determine like when they need it or not?
I have no doubt that we will be notified.
Okay. So the only problem I have with the motion is I don't like the tile. I think the tile makes it seem like it's an occupiable space, which to me, it's not, they're not meant to be occupiable spaces. I think they're going to run into some problems at the county anyway with the railing situation, with it trying to be occupiable of space, and also with the new live load that they're introducing.
We can change to get covered with TPO. It's no problem for tiles.
From a maintenance standpoint, I understand kind of the situation, and it is tricky. I just wish there was a better way to still keep the design lot, the roof line, while still giving maintenance. But there's the motion. That's my thought. We can take a vote on the motion, and we'll see where it goes and whether we need another motion or if it passes.
And I don't disagree with you, Michael. I'm just trying to, well, I'd love for all this stuff to be in sync. The, building code and things the county looks at is not really in our purview. So I'm just trying to focus on the design. If the county doesn't allow some aspect of this, then they either can, if it's small enough, make that change, or if they have to make a significant change, they'll have to come back through the process.
Yeah, I guess from an aesthetic standpoint, I guess that's my point is it aesthetically pleasing? To me, is there a better way they could potentially do this and still get access to the roof, which is what they want, by not altering that roof line up top? And that's where I'm hesitant on, because to me, once again, you can just see it. I mean, this is a historic landmark property of Reston, and so what I worry is that if we let people start altering the facades of them. And granted, I understand the concern for why it's being altered, but why not? Is there some other option that we could, design that's more aesthetically pleasing, that maybe doesn't have this bump up? If it truly is just for maintenance, maybe we don't need a full door. Maybe we can handle it with, somehow there's access, temporary stairs that pull down to a slider window or something that they can go through, or I don't know, just something that is aesthetically is not changing the outside of the home to an extent that this does. That's just kind of my take on it, and just kind of saying, oh, let's let the county deal with it. I'm a little nervous that they don't look at the aesthetics of it. So that we have a motion, we have a second. That's just my further discussion that I would like the board members to kind of think about. Maybe we can think of another motion.
So if I may first,
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, let me formalize that I amend my motion to include the language that Cam recommended. And so then I think we need to make sure that Karen's okay with that as well, since she seconded.
Karen, are you okay with the motion, the amendment to the motion that Cam added?
Yes, I'm fine with that.
And then what about the tile, Dan? Are you okay?
I'm open to
Are you open to adding? Are you open to removing it and just saying it needs to go back to the TPO?
I guess I'm a little bit concerned if the county comes in and they see that the tile and everything, that they might make them install a railing.
So we could amend the motion to further note that substantial changes that may be due to county review would require either an amendment or a new application, just to make sure it's clear and stated if necessary. And to your question, Michael, I'm open to other alternatives, whether it be for the tile material or for the doorway opening. But given that this is what's in front of us, I don't want to design a small sliding door on the fly. And I don't disagree with your thoughts. I just don't know that there's.
I just don't know whether we can ask the applicant to restudy and submit maybe a better, an option that, I'm sure the engineer that they hired just drew exactly what was already built, versus kind of maybe thinking through maybe some other alternatives that could aesthetically be kind of more appealing or less intrusive, I guess, is more what I would like to see is something less intrusive, to still give that access that maybe is needed. But granted, the access is very minimal, right? You maybe need to get up on your roof 3, maybe 4 times a year, not 50 times a year, right? So to me, this stairway to a door is very permanent, whereas there might be a better way to give an access hatch or, something that is still safe and is still accessible, but is not as intrusive. And so that's kind of where I'm leaning towards. But we can take a vote on the motion. Since it's motion second, we have to take a vote on it. So let's take a vote on it, and we can do a roll call vote, and we'll go from there. All right, so we have the motion. Everyone understand the motion in the second?
Could you confirm what it has? There's been some things outed and all of that.
Yeah. So basically, the motion is that the addition is approved. The planter boxes are approved. The tile right now, I think, is still in the motion to be approved, except that they all need to be removed when the applicant either moves, sells, or no longer needs it per the health concern.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so there's the motion. We're going to take a vote. We're going to go one by one. I'll take a roll call, and then we'll go from there. All right, so Mike B, do you vote yay or nay?
Yay.
Dan, yay or nay?
Yay.
Karen, yay or nay?
Yay.
Say it again, yay or nay?
Mm-hmm.
Yes or no?
Yes?
I think she said
That
yes.
was yes.
Yes, okay. Scott, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, and I vote no for the record. So motion passes 4-1. So thank you. All right, moving on to application K, Route 7. This is RA is proposing, and Larry, I believe, is going to give us a presentation for that.
Yes. Good evening again. I'm going to start this out. We have a couple others on this call. We've got Ryan Mara, who's the project manager for Chevrolet Contracting. We've got Michael Pruitt from VDOT, and we also, I believe, have Jenny Archer, who works for the contractor for VDOT that first approached us with respect to the easements. So this application is, excuse me?
Just said hi.
Oh, hello, Jenny. It's a little unusual in that RA, being the property owner, is the applicant for what is essentially improvements along the Route 7 widening project, which is actively underway right now, as most of you know. And that it impacts 2 parcels, one to the west of the intersection of Reston Parkway and Route 7, and a smaller parcel to the east. So the application is for tree removal, which we've got 18 trees on one and 11 on the other, that most of those are live, although some are dead, that will be removed. And there's temporary grading and construction easements, and then the sound wall easement and the installation of the sound walls. And what you have in your packet, and I realize there's a lot of information in there, and maybe that's the good one to highlight, that shows the areas where we notified people. The long parcel there is to the west, northwest of that intersection. And it's hard to see, but the red dot on the right parcel there, the RA parcel, is what looks like 2 lots to the left of that. And so that's the small parcel to the east that's impacted. So the application is for the tree removal, the installation of the sound walls. You have the design of the sound walls in the packet there. The dogwood imprint faces the road. For those of you who have been up on Route 7, you can see the piles going in on the northern side of Route 7 for the wall installation there. And this is a shot of looking to the west. And as you can see, there's a gas pipeline there. So most of the area is cleared already. So the tree clearing is really just a little bit to the left of that picture in the center of the frame there. And then a couple other incursions for a Dominion Power easement, as well as a Fairfax County Water Authority easement along that same stretch. The other stretch, or the other parcel, this parcel here, the sound wall is way up next to the road, but they actually have to do some drainage improvements because there's actually a creek that runs through here. And so the major incursion on the RA property here is to provide drainage improvements for drainage coming off of Route 7 and the improvements. And I think with that, I would ask Ryan or Michael if they want to chime in on any of the further details, but essentially it's for the tree removal and the sound wall installation, the details of which you have in your packet.
Hey Larry, this is Ryan Mara with Shirley Contract. Hello everybody. Larry explained it very well. I can talk about the schedule if everybody would like to talk about the schedule of these activities. As you know, Route 7 project has been going on for a couple of years now. We anticipate clearing, like Larry said, there's not going to be a tremendous amount of clearing, but we anticipate clearing this area in the spring. And in the summer, this summer, we will begin the noise wall installation. We anticipate the noise wall installation will be completed in early 2022. The project as a whole, and this is a 7-mile project, just to give everybody an idea of what, this is about a 7-mile project, and we are anticipating completion of the whole 7 miles in the summer of 2024. So we're about 3.5 years away from final completion.
And I don't know if there's specific questions that you all have about either the sound walls themselves or the easement. The easement for the sound wall, which is part of the clearing, is 10 feet, roughly 10 feet behind the sound wall itself, and that's for the installation and maintenance of the wall going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I know I have a couple questions, but is that all you guys have from a presentation standpoint?
Yeah, I mean it's fairly straightforward.
Yeah. I think I know my question is going to kind of die on that where it turns up Reston Parkway, and we have our current monument sign. Kind of what's happening there with that and how that's affected. But I guess let's just address it. Why I'm asking it. Right here in this picture shows it well. So it looks like the wall turns at maybe a 45-degree angle, roughly. I can't quite tell. Maybe it's 60 degrees, and it comes up Reston Parkway, or I guess south on Reston Parkway slightly, where our sign is. Kind of what's the game plan there? What's the thought? Are we relocating that sign? Are we getting a new one? How are we doing it?
I'll let Ryan or Michael answer that question, because that sign is actually has been for many, many years in the state right of way. Oddly enough.
Okay. So does that mean they get to keep it?
Michael, are you aware of the sign? Because the wall is going directly through the sign. Michael Pruitt with VDOT. And it is located within the existing right of way.
And are there plans to reset it, relocate it?
Let me ask you this, Larry. Does Reston Association have a permit to be within existing right of way? Are you aware of that?
I honestly don't know, because we inherited that from Reston Land Corporation. I'd have to verify that.
That would be the question. If the Reston Association has a permit to be within existing right of way, and Michael Pruitt can chime in on that as far as the being able to relocate that sign if there is a permit.
Well, we hope that it doesn't get thrown away. Is there any way we can just agree to relocate it in front of the wall when it's when you guys do the wall?
Trying to get Michael Pruitt to unmute. I believe he was on the call. Excuse me. He's the VDOT representative. Michael, are you on the call still?
Did he call in on a phone as well?
I see Charles Pruitt on the call, unmuted.
Yeah, but there's also a 571-981 number that maybe could be him.
I'm asking them to unmute.
This is cool. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm sorry that for whatever reason the Zoom. There's a permit process. We can't agree to put anything within VDOT's right of way, but at this level, it has to occur at a different level, and it's a. I can send you links and so forth that can guide you through. The issues are essentially is that you're placing a structure within right of way that's owned by VDOT, and you have to acknowledge that if something future construction or otherwise, it's within their right of way. And other than that, I don't really know that it's a huge deal, except that no lighting. This is because you're essentially for safety purposes. And I don't think there's lighting there currently.
No, there's not.
So you will not be able to do that until the conclusion of our work. But I can certainly provide all the links and guidance and how to do that and how it was done on the last project I was on.
And I would ask, and I guess this is really more for Ryan, I would ask that when you get to the point where that sign is to be removed, that we work with you to remove it carefully so it can be salvaged, and we can store it at our maintenance facility, until we work out the details of replacing it.
Absolutely, Larry.
Does anyone else have any questions about the wall? So let me go through the list real quick. For Mike B, did you have any questions for the applicant?
I was curious in terms of the wall selection, the actual panels that we're using. I know this is, obviously we are evaluating this evening a small section of the larger project. Is this the entire run? This is what's being used along the whole stretch?
Yes, Mike, this is the project specific design, and it's used for the whole entire stretch.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. That's it for me, Mike.
Dan, did you have any questions?
Just an extension of Michael's. Would there be an option to change the panel out of curiosity, or is that it?
No, there's no option to change it.
No, this is it's the premier of noise walls, and now this is what was selected for the corridor. The only little exception to that is right as you get up there towards the toll road, Jarrett Valley, we have to do a 50-foot, 100-foot tie-in to match their existing wall. But other than that, this is the corridor-wide dogwood panel. The only other place the dogwood panel has been utilized is on Route 606. So
I thought I saw this on 28. This was on 28 when I was driving into south on 28 to Manassas, kind of right in Centerville area there.
Yeah, so I'm sorry. Yeah, they have taken that, but they have that dispersed essentially.
Correct.
Say every 5 to 8 panels or so forth. We're using this
continuous. Okay, perfect. Okay. That was going to be my question, because I know when I was driving up 28, it just seemed odd that it stopped, but I'm glad you addressed that, because that was my question. So this will be continuous, the full stretch of our property.
The full stretch, and again, there's only one other place that's been done, and it looks nice, very nice.
Karen, did you have any questions?
I'd like to understand some of the things on the drawing better. I'm assuming that the panel that we're looking at now with the dogwood flowers are represented in the plan by the heavy broken green line that's close to the road. Is that correct?
I think it depends on what plan sheet. Do you know what page you were looking at?
No, but it was the plan, you know, that shows everything that's on it.
Larry, I think page 13. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
And also, I would like to know what the potential noise barrier is.
That was a
The reason it says potential, and you can, there's no potential anymore. The reason it's potential is when we have a design build contract, and Michael can add to this, is there's a preliminary noise study performed by VDOT and their consultants prior to bidding the project. And once the project is awarded, we do a final noise study to confirm what was done previously. And that's the reason on exhibits they say potential, but that potential can go away because these are confirmed and final.
Okay, so but the green broken line is where is the dogwood panels?
No, it's going to be on that. It's going to be the red line.
The red line, okay.
Correct. That's where the noise wall is going to be.
Okay. And are there, will there be any lights at the intersection for any kind of traffic reasons?
You mean roadway lighting?
Yes.
The roadway lighting that's currently at Reston Parkway will be replaced with new roadway lighting. So it will just be replicated with new LED lights and poles, and they will be colored the Reston brown.
And they will be on the same locations where they are now? The poles?
Pretty close. Pretty close. I mean, we're moving sections of the road out, and so it's very similar. It's the same illumination pattern. The poles, right? They won't be in the exact same location. The mast arms, I mean, the lights will be adjusted and so forth, so that it looks the same. It just, the poles will be in a little bit different location.
Do you know what color lighting is provided on those?
You mean whether it's white light or?
Yes.
Yeah. No, I don't know that I've seen that description. It's strictly that it's LED lighting, which is well, it's more energy efficient, longer lasting, and so forth. We can certainly find that out. It's the Fairfax County standard. The only difference with your intersection versus the rest of the project is that your poles will have the Reston brown color.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so it's the Fairfax County lighting standards for primary roadways. So I can certainly get you if that's.
I was just curious because, you know, I mean, I know that we're way past high pressure sodium, thank God, but you never know sometimes when lighting goes in what it's going to become. So I thought I would just ask.
Well, the idea is that we don't want a lot of this lighting to spread, and we want it focused right at the intersection for vehicles, and it's trying to get to a closer dark skies thought process. So there should be a lot of light bleed, and these are LED lighting.
Well, I appreciate that.
I think the county exterior lighting standard, it's either 3,000 or 4,000 Kelvin.
Mm-hmm. Which is cool. Yes, it's not orange.
Well, that's more warm. 3,000, 4,000 Kelvin is very warm.
Right.
That
4,000 gets cooler, but that's you know, but at least it's not an unrealistic color.
No.
Yeah.
The whole corridor gets upgraded to the new LED guidelines.
So, and there's no replacement of any plantings, right? Because that's why they're not there. That's why they have to be taken out in the first place.
Would you repeat that? I'm sorry.
I'm assuming that there won't be any replacement of trees that are taken out because you don't want them there to start with. Ever.
Well, they're in conflict with the
Yes,
proposed.
you really don't
plan
ever, you don't want trees because you don't really want them there, period.
It's that they can't be there. They're in conflict. I
Yeah,
mean, either whether it be wall, it's not that we don't want them. Some of us want every tree, but
yeah, but it doesn't belong. It doesn't belong in the project because the project needs to work.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I guess where Karen's leading is because of the easement. Like, is there no chance that we could put plants back where we're having to remove the trees because the wall is going to impact the growing ability? It's going to be all understory, and there's going to be no way for anything to grow. Is that kind of the reason why there's no? Normally in Reston, we require replantings of whatever, if there's a big tree removal such as this, we would like to see some replantings elsewhere on said property that it's happening. However, this is a little unique situation where it's, it's our property. So it's a little bit of a weird situation. And I'm assuming there's a financial compensation that RA is receiving for said easement. Maybe we can, allocate that to some additional trees, or helping to relocate this monument sign, or, whatever it be. But I think that's where Karen's kind of question is going.
Yes, thank you.
So Ryan can speak to the compensation portion of it. That's, I don't, is that a fair statement?
So Ryan, for this 10-foot easement or 10-foot kind of disturbance area behind the wall, that's the majority of where these trees are having to be removed, correct?
That's correct, Michael.
And so that 10-foot is definitely required, right? There's no way you guys can try to work your way around it, and you guys need to clear that prior to getting started so your equipment can have proper access and all that fun stuff, right?
And that's and that 10-foot is a maintenance easement. So 20 years from now, if VDOT needs to go in there and maintain the wall, they've got the area and easement rights to be able to do that.
Yeah,
okay.
That's the question I was after. Is it's in perpetuity?
Correct. Yep, that is a permanent easement. Yes.
Just like any other utility easement.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. Karen, do you have anything else?
No, thank you.
Okay. Scott, did you have any questions?
No, thank you. Actually, what's the average height of one of these precast panels?
It varies. The minimum is 13 feet and it goes as high as 18 feet.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Michael, do we have any affected parties on this application?
Well, that's the thing. No, it doesn't seem like anybody responded, right, Larry? I mean, we don't have any affected parties except yourself as RA. I mean, I guess you're the applicant, so you're not an affected party.
Yeah, after the letter went out with my phone number in it, I got a call from one member who I called back twice and never heard back from her, and then I got a call from another resident who had not been notified but was just curious about the project. I guess it was just a coincidental timing wise, and I sent her to the Connect Route 7 website and said, once you take a look at that, give me a call back if you have any questions, and I didn't hear from her, and that's it.
Okay. Yeah, because I obviously for some of the members, it's really affecting them, and so I wish they had a little bit more, I guess, response. But my only other question for the applicant would be, or I guess for the consultants, because RA is the applicant, is when I'm looking at slide, I think it's slide 9 or slide 8, no, 9, slide 9. We show the resting properties that are affected. Now, does the wall continue past, like, let's say this east side of the wall where there's the kind of that final red dot? Does the wall continue along that? It's just not on RA property, so that's why it's not part of this application? Or was it deemed that the noise is not going to affect like that other house that's part of Reston there? I just was confused at why the wall was kind of stopping there, or is it continuing? It's just not on RA property.
Yeah, it's with on the eastern portion, Michael. It's all within existing right of way, and it continues eastward.
Gotcha. Okay. So it is continuous, though, I guess is my question.
Correct. Yeah, we just gave a snapshot of the Reston Association property, but yeah, it continues eastward.
Yeah, no, understood. I wanted to make sure I just didn't, that member be like, well, why didn't I get a wall behind my house?
Right.
And so I just wanted to make sure that was addressed. And then my other, I think that was my only other question that I had. Scott answered the question about the height. So what I would do, is there anybody else, any other questions?
I just have one other question. What is the width of your right of way from let's say the curb to the nearest place that you can't? What is the space between, let's say, the houses and your curb, roughly, very roughly?
Let me see. If you go to slide 10, maybe the roll plot one. No, it's not that one. Let me see.
One with the colored line.
Yeah, I feel like slide 13.
That one right
slide 13 would be the best. Yeah.
Yeah, if you scroll out of that one, if you would, please. I mean, as you can see, if you look in the Route 7 road, you'll see these numbers and that depicts every 100 feet. If you scroll a little bit more, then you've got 100 feet equals about 1.5 inches there. So it looks like you're well over 100 feet for the most part from just the proposed wall. And additional footage beyond that, roughly.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Would anyone like to make a motion on the application? I'll make a motion that we approve the application as submitted with the following amendment, that RA try to preserve the sign and look into relocating the sign, working with VDOT to still kind of designate our entrance with appropriate landscaping plantings around said sign as part of kind of the update to where that sign location is.
I'll second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Is there any further discussion? No? All right. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Any abstentions? All right. Motion passes 5-0. One question I actually did just think of, are we getting is there going to be a new stoplight there with like the new cantilevered poles versus those stringed lights?
Yes.
Okay, great. I figured there was, but I just wanted to ask. So, okay, great. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your time, everybody.
Thank you, Larry.
Take care.
All right. So it looks like we have an affected party status other item to discuss presented by Cam.
Well, I'll try and make it quick because I know we're almost at 10 o'clock. But so I've been here since June, and I have got a lot of responses related to the Reston Association's affected party resolution number 10 and some concerns related to that resolution. It's a little confusing. I still think that membership doesn't really know what affected party means. And so sometimes they'll check the box affected party when they really just support the application, or they don't have anything to include with the request or provide a statement. And so in looking back at some of the meetings that we've had, there has been some concerns related to the DRB recognizing affected parties that have not provided and followed the resolution, which requires a statement to be provided. And so staff is currently looking at the resolution to see if there's a need to clarify and really redefine some of the things that you all have been reviewing when you review applications. For example, currently there's no stopgap in terms of accepting an affected party statement from an affected party if they would like to be an affected party on an application but aren't technically required to be notified per the application. So let's take a single family home, for example. The owner is required to get their adjacent lot, someone in view, and then another lot. Well, if you meet those requirements per the application, you could still have someone who is an affected party to the application but not be notified. So a way that members have been kind of circumventing that process is writing a blanket statement that they'd like to be considered an affected party on any application that comes before the DRB on that lot. In some situations, we've had these blanket statements accepted that were written 15, 16, 20 years ago. And I think it would be helpful to membership to establish and clarify some of these things that the membership feels from the post-DRB survey that we conduct. So every application that gets reviewed at a panel or at a consultation, and full board actually has a survey that gets sent to them, and time again they've kind of questioned the affected party and what that actually means. Are members using the affected party status as a way to abuse the affected, what the intention behind the affected party status actually is, to delay projects from being built or moving forward through the process. So right now I'm looking for comments or feedback, and it doesn't have to be tonight. You can always email me and let me know. But if you need me to email you resolution 10 related to affected parties, I'm happy to do it. But we're looking for feedback on any suggestions that you have, any of your own experiences that you've heard from members about the affected party status, so that staff can begin to draft a proposed revision to be brought back to you all for your review.
So Cam, just one question. Do you feel like the people who are asking for those blanket statements, are they just looking to be notified almost that if something's happening in their neighborhood, basically they would like to know what's happening? Is that, or you're actually seeing them using it as a way to derail anybody from doing anything?
I think it's a combination. I mean, every situation can be isolated. So I think majority of the members just want to be notified on what's going on. But if that's the intention behind the affected party status, we're not really doing a good service to the members, because technically the application doesn't require them to be notified. So if they put a blanket statement, are we recognizing that blanket statement in perpetuity, no matter who's the owner, no matter what the project is? And that also goes into the fact that not every person that files an affected party statement is an affected party. And so the DRB should be evaluating each statement to deem whether they are actually an affected party or not. The DRB can review that status and decide to not recognize that affected party status. It clearly doesn't happen a lot or at all since I've been here, but it is something that the DRB does have the purview to do.
Yeah, because I guess if it was more of a notification thing, it'd be nice to be able to use, like let's say this new RA portal that we have, where there'd be a way to just, send out a message or something that, hey, that there's a property being, I don't know, adding an addition in your neighborhood, blah blah blah. I don't know what the because I do understand there's certain times where there's people who live like in a neighborhood and they drive by the house every day, let's say, and they live 5 doors down, but so they would never be notified as an affected party, would never need to be on an application, but to me fundamentally are impacted by potentially an addition. So, or a major modification to a home. And right now with the affected party, way it works is they would not need to be notified. Now, could somebody in that stance, are they allowed to register as an affected party if they caught wind of the application, even if they're not a direct neighbor? Essentially, if they said, oh, I can see it from my front door, even if they're 5 doors down.
Sure. So any member can be an affected party if they know about the application. The issue then becomes, is the DRB going to recognize them as an affected party?
Gotcha.
To your point, Cam, then the DRB then needs to act on whether or not the affected party status holds for that particular individual. Understood. I mean, I please send me that resolution, Cam. I'm very interested in reading it. I'd love to provide some additional commentary. I think the system as it's currently constituted is almost set up to be somewhat adversarial in its nature, even though I think the intent is good to keep folks aware of and engaged in what's happening in their immediate surroundings. But again, we should be able to find some manner of notification without setting folks at odds. And that's I think the key and what we should be striving for, quite frankly.
Completely. I mean, I wish we were Fairfax County and had the yellow big signs outside in the front yard. That would be clear as day notification that I'm doing a project, but it doesn't work that way for homeowners associations. So I appreciate any other feedback that anyone else has. If you want to talk one-on-one or have feedback, I will shoot an email out with the attachment of the resolution so that you all can review it, and we will begin to move forward with some ideas on what that revision looks like.
Thank you, sir.
Receive one of those.
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Cam, just as a curious question, so tonight for that application with the pool, RA was directly an adjacent property owner to that application, and I didn't see their signature on the application as an affected party. But are they, because we're now RA is just registering as an affected party for everything that they're, I guess I didn't come up in the application, but something that'd be nice is if RA had weighed in. They were big, they implemented that grading situation, right? The drainage situation. Would they? Why? I guess were they not involved in that application, or were they? And they didn't register as an affected party officially, or maybe they did and I just didn't see it.
We were an affected party on the application, but because of the process that I've established, we do not comment until after the application has been reviewed.
Okay.
Hey, this is Larry. Can I comment on that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, there are applications, where we are an affected party just because we're adjoining property owner, and I'll say, for lack of a better word, the Parks and Rec Department, who takes care of the common areas. We, as many of you know, we have often commented on various pieces of applications. The one tonight, I didn't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole. So having been involved with both those owners and, the implementation of that swale, which the one neighbor paid for. But yeah, no, I agree. I think, anytime our common area is implicated, I think we should be noticed in advance of the application so we can comment on it. Which I know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess when that grading or stormwater plan comes into us, I would like your guys' input, just because you guys were so involved in the that swale being put in. I assume it was it must have been before my time in 2018, before I started in the I guess I started at the very end of 2018, so I don't remember that project. So but it sounded like it was a doozy from a review standpoint. So
it was actually way before that, and it was just modified in 2018.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah. So anyways, I just was curious because something like that, the affected party, to me, I get that single family detached is a little unique because can't you guys request certain property owners if you feel like what we do for waterfront property? Can't we say we feel like these 8 other owners are affected and you need to go get them signatures, even if they're like all the way across the lake? I feel like I've seen that before on applications.
We can, and we try to do that, but the problem is that the DRB can request that, staff can't. So it's not a technical requirement until the DRB sees it and requests it.
And so what's your way to make that more efficient? You want us to give staff the authority to deem affected parties?
In terms of notification, that would be a nice thing to add to the design guideline so that, like for lakefront, where it is a requirement, we can add those requirements to certain design guidelines so that, yes, we could request that without getting pushback from the applicants.
Okay. And from a design guideline standpoint, I know we have a committee working on that right now. Is that something that we could incorporate into that update that we've been looking at?
Sure, absolutely. We're already working on what cluster-wide notification for cluster standards looks like. So yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I'm just trying to be efficient because I know it's hard to get amendments to the guidelines. We do them only every 3 years or so, or we're supposed to. I don't know how often that is happening, but okay. Is there anything else, Cam? Anyone else have any other questions for Cam?
Nope, I'm good.
All right. Well, cool, guys. Well, there's a lot of fun ones tonight. I'm sure there's a couple that'll be I'm sure there'll be some that are appealed. So just be ready. Keep them on the top of your head. Because I guarantee you there'll be a couple that are getting appealed to come back to us. So, but anyways, any motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn for the evening.
Great. Anyone want to second that?
I'll second.
Awesome. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, guys. Have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
See you. Take
See ya.
care.
See you guys.
Good luck. Done 4 minutes to 10. Beautiful. See ya. Bye.
What a deal.